I'm Sandy Peel, and I started and I'm in charge of eBay. The team consists of 5 people. We have 3 shippers, and I have 1 understudy that is learning to list and handle the books for eBay with me. eBay got its start about 8 years ago this month, June, when I was still tour guiding and sitting out front and had a cup of coffee, and Doug Rollins came out from the library and had a cup of coffee as well. And he was grousing about the fact that he had far too many surplus books, didn't know what he was going to do with them, and would probably have to take them to Heartland. So I simply casually said, "Why don't you put them on eBay?" To which he replied, "Well, I would if I could find someone to do it." So I went home, thought about it for 24 hours, and came back and said, "Why don't we give it a try?" I knew absolutely nothing about eBay. I knew nothing about PayPal, which is where the funds come from. And so we started cold. I started with the books, getting rid of his surplus stock, and that spread into artifacts, model aircraft, aircraft instruments, and odds and sods that the museum had for sale. And interesting, we've just never looked back. In that 8 years, we've sold over darn near 4,000 items. We have listed well over 5,000, and we have earned pretty close to $54,000 net for the museum, all with stuff that would have been thrown out, gone to surplus, and otherwise been disposed of. When we list a book, and after it's been thoroughly researched, each book has a listing number, and we put that on the spine of the book so that the shippers can readily access the book when the book sells, or for that matter, when one of the models or one of the artifacts sell. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, in addition to books, we also sell model aircraft, as in here, artifacts, which are over there, and aircraft instruments as well. So they're all kept in this room. All right, this was one of the other artifacts that we sold. We had a surplus carburetor for an Allison engine, and we sold it to a buyer in Port Angeles, of all places. So it didn't have to go very far, but these are scarce as hen's teeth out there now because it's an old engine. Several years ago, we had a glider donated to us, and it came from Saskatchewan, and it came with its own trailer. The glider is now hanging on the Henderson hangar on the south wall, but the trailer was surplus to the museum's needs. So one of the members of the board came to me and said, "Could you sell that on eBay?" And I said, "Well, I've got to give it a try. We're not going to pack it and ship it, certainly, but it'll be as is, where is, and we'll give it a go." Had a couple of interesting offers. One was from a scoutmaster in Texas who wanted the trailer to put the tent poles when the scouts went camping. But a final offer came from the owner of a flight school in just north of Seattle, and he came up with his truck. Everything was wrong. He picked the wrong weekend. It was the May 20th weekend. He had no insurance. He had no plates. The trailer hitch that he had was wrong. He had to go and get that fixed. He then turned around and went back to his home, presumably to get some insurance. We never saw it. He arrived back, plugged the trailer in, and the brake lights didn't work. So Larry Lepard, who was out there with me, said, "Well, I can probably get it fixed. It's probably a corroded junction somewhere, and take about a half an hour." The guy said, "I don't have time." His wife was with him, so he headed off down the road. No brake lights, Saskatchewan plates that were 8 years out of date, and his wife had just muttered out the window as he went by, "He does this all the time. We may get home tonight, or we may be in jail." So, when the museum was shut down for the COVID-19 pandemic, we in eBay basically had to continue to ship. We had over 1,300 listings out there, and to delist them would have been a nightmare. So we continued to list and we continued to ship through the whole period. Shippers came in, and during that period we have sold over pretty close to 300 items, and we have raised close to $4,000 net after all our expenses for the museum. Probably the only source of revenue the museum had during that period. This is one of the services that eBay provides, and this is the feedback that we have from our buyers. And this covers a period of 12 months. As you can see, we've had 100% positive feedback for that 12 months. They cover categories such as the description, the shipping speed, the shipping cost, and communication. And look at some of these, you'll see almost all of them mention how fast the shipping was. A real credit to our shippers.
This is a prepaid postage box for shipment within Canada. It only applies to Canadian, and every other shipment goes through regular postal procedure. The box is prepaid so that when we load it up, and as long as it's not over 5 kilograms, we just drop it off at any post office. The weight limit on these boxes is 5 kilograms. And there are 4 books going to a common address in London, Ontario, as it happens. And the weight here is 2.7 kilograms, so it's well within the weight limit of 5. The hard part is getting it in there so they don't rattle around. And peanuts, or whatever they call them. There's 4 books, packed pretty well, and it's ready to go to the post office. There's a label, and I can take the top piece off, and that's our receipt that has been shipped. So that's ready to go. Okay. Also this morning we'll be shipping a parts catalog for a twin turbo shaft engine. And that'll fit nicely in that envelope, and it's bubble wrapped automatically. And this is going to Chester, Maryland. I have to cut a piece of cardboard just to protect that coil. So. but it'll still fit. So add the label, address label, and the return address. We've lost a few address labels, so we always add a bit of tape to make sure it doesn't fall off. And there's another one ready to go. Every book in this system has an inventory number. And that's how we locate a book. So when an item is listed, it's connected with the inventory number. And then every month or two, he has to come in and shift everything along to fill up the empty spaces from book sale. And there's close to 1,000 different items here. And Sandy is the one that keeps all the records and
My name is Doug Rollins. I'm the librarian here at the BC Aviation Museum. You can help the museum do what it does by your donations. We always like financial contributions, but contributions of materials such as books, anything like that will help us either directly or indirectly. Our first priority is always the museum, and if we need it to help us do what we do, we will keep it and look after it. But if it's surplus to our needs, we sell them on eBay and get a good dollar return for a lot of articles, and those funds go 100% to the operation of the museum. So donations of books, of photographs, of anything that you have aviation related. Now that could include ephemera such as maps, instruction booklets, operating manuals. It could include unbuilt model kits, anything like that we're very interested in. So you can bring it to the museum or phone us and ask us about it, and we can give you further information about that. So think about what you have around the place, and before you throw it out, talk to us and we'll see what we can do. Thank you.